Welcome to Dropped In. Welcome back to Dropped In. I am so beyond stoked to be here with you and to share the OGs of Dropped In. And yeah, it just feels so good to be in this space with you and to, I know the listeners are going to be super stoked to have us back together in this episode. So welcome and let's just roll. Let's ride. Share with me what you have been up to, what you've been doing, because I know things have shifted and changed. And yeah, I'm super stoked to hear about what you're doing and all the goods.
Thank you, Meg. I'm like ecstatic to be here as well. And just us being in the same space together. Well, it breaks the internet for one, but it also just like feels so enlivening, like on a cellular level. And I just love our little soulful play and the way we communicate and yeah, just dance with one another. It's so fun.
So fun.
And what has gone on, I mean, it's been like timelines within timelines since you and I went like carried on the path, but as individuals, which was in October. And I'm so glad that you've continued the legacy and have been refining and strengthening and leading and guiding in a way that is so true to you. You have always been a steward in that way. And I'm so grateful. And I love to see you continuously super bloom, and support everyone around you to do the same, like in a field of wildflowers. So I love you, Meg. I think the world of you. And a lot has gone down, right? Since we were last like meeting on a weekly basis. So shizzles. I mean, we both got into our individual podcasts at the same time, and we were like really doing that like November, December of last year, which feels so long ago. And then I kind of came to, and it wasn't a sacred pause, it was a change to the channel. I was making the shift from the digital online space that I had been pounding the virtual pavement at for the last 3 years of being online. And I was like, I said something in January, like, it'd be really cool to like show up to work again. Like I kind of like miss getting dressed and like going somewhere kind of thing. And I started to meet a bunch of people and I started to build up my social stamina, and it took time. It was new for me in a way. I was like, it was kind of this dance of like remembering some of my favorite parts of who I used to be, and also simultaneously creating new ways of being in the world as myself. So it was really fascinating and such a unique show to be the main character in, but also be like observing. So these last few months have been incredibly transformative. Hi, Mystic, look, is it your Auntie Meg? Could be, sure is. I like traveled for the first time again in end of April and May. Like I hadn't been on a plane or like been able to like spread my wings, And so it was so great to like be back out in the world and again, remembering who I am as an individual without being like a dog mom and like glued to my phone and stuff like that. And I was in Miami at the end of May and with a dear friend, collaborator, and previous client, now family, you know what I mean? And I was rekindled and reconnected with my love for thrifting and unique spaces and curation and vibe setting and fashion and expression in a way that like had been so backburnered for me. And I was like, this is what makes me feel alive. Like, this is what I didn't even know Like I could live without this and now I can't. Like I'm not a single day more. And I got back right at the beginning of June and was having dinner with a friend, and she was like, so you mentioned like you might want to restart something in like like what does that look like? And I said, well, what it would look like previously is that I would find the space and then just make it happen. And I was like, but I don't know if I want to approach it that way. And she's like, oh, well, what if, wait, hold on. I know someone who has a space. Like, what if we went and saw it? And I was like, say what? You know? And we did. We went the next day.
Wow.
We went the next day, and it was like a collection, like a symphony of visions that I had collected over the last like 5 years of my life through previous experience of doing a pop-up in Vancouver Island that I was like remote from. And there it was. There was my little space, and I said yes. Like, and it was like a full. It's like bamboo is what it felt like. It's like, you know, it's underground for a long time, and then it just like was a super sprout. Like it was like, let's go all the way. And that was June 10th. I signed the contract on solstice, the 21st, and we opened the doors to Faro on July 1st.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, and so Faro means in Spanish the lighthouse. It also means beacon. And I wanted a really, of course, you know how much I love words, like a really fluid and landable word that was strong on its own and that could be felt and understood in any language because it was such a vibrational force.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. And I love the concept of changing the channel. Like, so incredible. So you're officially 1 month in.
Yep.
And how's it going? How's it rolling? How are you feeling?
Wow. I mean, I hit inevitable burnout. I mean, there was no real way for me to avoid that in the peak of summer heat. And then with the velocity and like the speed in which everything needed to happen, like literally going from what I felt like kind of like camping for the last few years of my life in a way, you know what I mean? You just get up and you're like, okay, I'm just around the campsite today. Like, does it really matter? To like public facing, having a business, having, you know, between 15 and 40 conversations a day with different people, speaking 2 different languages in all the different ways. It was like a crash course for me in like taking all the lessons of what I've learned in my previous, like, you know, initiatives, and then making sense of them and applying them in real time and space, you know, in this way. And it was like, I don't even know, like, if my phone was able to register the hours that I was on it, because I was more on the device and like having to like make decisions on the spot in the moment, get it, make it happen, like just make it happen. You got to do it. It's like right here, right now, like let's go. So that's what it's been. And you know, it's like we got to the opening and it was like cool, and then I like needed a month off, but instead it's been a month of like being open and like doing it for real. When I still felt like I needed like a dress rehearsal, but it wasn't a dress rehearsal. It was just like, oh, now you're on the street. Now you're front facing, like you are in the public. Like there's no hiding anymore. There's no like, this is behind the scenes. I'm working on something. It's like, I'm working something. I'm sweating. I'm crying. Like I'm breaking. I'm figuring it out in real time. And all of that's happening in front of people. where I like have a tendency to want to just like present it in a certain way when I feel ready. And the universe laughed at that concept. It was like, no, like the time is now. You got to let people see you sweat. This is a real deal. This is really happening.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be open to feedback and like roll with the punches and make changes right now. You got to listen to the needs of the people and like immerse and blend with the culture and like give your best and be open to doing it differently and try new things and get frustrated to every possible edge of your being with internet shit and like people coming or people booking and not showing up, or it's like all of that's going to happen, and you're going to have 20 tabs open at the same time and things that on your to-do list that you're not great at keeping track of that also need to be attended to. So where are you at? Like it was just like constant confrontation. Yeah, it was challenging. I mean, I say it was challenging. Isn't that neat to say that in a past tense, 6 weeks after the idea came to life for the first time?
100%. Yeah. And your nervous system took a toll.
So that came in form of like what could only be described as food poisoning. For me, it felt like it was a chronic and deep lack of nurture, care, and hydration to the core of who I am.
Yeah.
I was like down, like in true Scorpio form for 3 days. And I came out of that just a few days ago. And it's like, I don't even know this, like, who are you? You have all the energy and spaciousness in the world. You love to meet, like you're greeting every person and every moment with like the best of you. Like, where did you access that from?
Yeah. Dude, that's fascinating because I had food poisoning too. Like, just like probably just 2 weeks ago. So crazy. And so the fact that we're on the same timeline in that capacity is, I mean, it doesn't shock me whatsoever. And I can relate. Like, I just felt like this whole like energy, but a whole clearing of like just cleansing, just letting it all go. All the old parts of yourself that don't belong here anymore are just like released, right? So crazy, so crazy. So keep rolling. Let's hear.
Yeah. And, that we would just like went ahead right away with like getting the events booked in and getting people illuminated. Like that's kind of the whole thing, right? It's like, that's what I'm really good at. And I was doing that as like the wizard behind the mirror for a couple of years. And now it was like the curtains had been pulled back and it was me and my fringe. And it was like, oh yeah, no, it's me. Like, I'm really here. This is actually happening, and I have more like new besties and new bills to pay than I know what to do with, but I feel rich as fuck, dude. Sitting around that table in the middle of that little Narnia. And I was like, I'm like, this is my dream. This is my dream, is like to different people to come through, and I traveled for half of my life, and I'm now in a place where I feel like let the world come to me, like I'm quite happy to be here and to have my roots in the ground. And that actually sets me more free. I feel more liberated by knowing that I have a place, to call my own, and that I can go far and wide from and always return to. And to just have these different folks, like there was a small family from Argentina who made their own silk bamboo clothing. And there's this family from Monterey that came through, and they do these amazing, like creative, you pull oracle cards and they make you like a talisman with animals, and then you create your own. And then there was a tattoo and tarot night. Like all of this has happened. Like, and these are people, there was a live drawing class. And and that belief and that faith in that, in a new business and a new brand and a new like, hi, we're here, we're trying something, and they're like, yeah, we're here too, like, cool, been waiting for
Mm-hmm.
you. I've been waiting for you. So it's just like right time, right space, like right people. And it's like Faro has always been. And
Mm.
it's so funny because I love a little irony, right? But we're in the heart of the heart in Mexico. They literally, San Miguel is the corazon de Mexico. So it's the heart, the center. And then in that, we're in the centro, like we're in it. And I don't know what I was going to say beyond that. But I think, I've always thought of San Miguel as like, it's a really cool launch pad for people to try out new ideas and also try new ways of being personally, because you can kind of get away with it here. And then you take it and you bring it into the real world or whatever, and like, let it be. But this is a really great place to like throw like spaghetti at the wall. So really a lot of amazing people that have come from many different walks of life that are like here to heal, and they're here to reemerge and reinvent and recreate. And like, it's super cool to be a part of.
That's so cool to hear. So why do you think people are coming there to heal specifically? Like I keep seeing a rose quartz, and I believe you shared that once that, or am I just seeing something?
Yeah, no, you are seeing something, but it's true. Yeah. So it is on, we're at 6,000 feet here up in the, so we're like closer to God up here. They say that time moves differently at altitude, like things are happening at a different speed. And a mantra that's really been real for me lately is move at the speed of trust.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think in a way there's something fascinating because we're like going to different depths and heights of ourselves here in this little pueblito. And I think people are attracted here to flip their edges in a way. It's like go to the bottom and find a treasure, and here it's like go to the top and find the treasure and like see about that. Yeah, plants thrive here. I mean, I know we've talked about this in our when we had dropped in before, but like there's nowhere that I've seen this much variety of plant life, like rot and have resilience. It's a desert climate, but it's its own unique flavor. And like because the last 6 weeks of my life have been so immersed and consumed with Faro, like everything's been like neglected. And I hadn't trimmed my garden. My garden was like overgrown. And I was like, isn't that metaphorical? Like, look at that. It's like, and then, I called up the gardener and he came, and then it was like nature was so forgiving. It was like, this is okay.
Mhm.
We're okay to have been that way. And now we return to balance. Like, it wasn't that messed up. There really was no reason to judge. We don't need to hold shame when we like do the thing. And then it's like, that was a part of the course too. That was a part of the season as well.
Mm-hmm.
Letting that overgrowth happen. And then the lawn gets trimmed. And before I had patches of dryness, and I was like ashamed of like how unwatered my grass was, and it's so us in appearance. And it's like, what does my garden appear like to your garden? Like, is your garden gonna love my garden just the way I am?
Mm.
Yeah.
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 Very, very deep. So coming back to the changing the channel. So I love that. So it's like you were like the go-to girl on the virtual space, right? Like you were like sharing how to create content and how to show up and build community and do all the things, right? And now, well, you've created your own community in person, which is amazing. So Do you miss the virtual space? Do you miss that online connection? Do you miss the work that you were doing in that space?
No,
No, not at all.
because I just feel like it's a natural continuation. I'm just on a different part of the wheel right now. I'm still connected to the wholeness of it. I'm still nurturing relationships on the online space, but they're now being matched and fulfilled with real hugs and
Yeah.
like real interaction. I can just say, come by with a Hugo Verde, like, oh my God, like I've been missing that so much. And I think that in a way, as I was like setting the tone for that and preparing and I was talking it into reality for myself as much as I was for everyone else.
Yeah, I feel that for sure. Yeah, it's fascinating. So, coming up on Lionsgate, Valerie and I are doing a Kundalini activation and some sound healing, and I'm so stoked. Like, I could have thousands of, well, maybe not thousands, but a lot of people here, right? And people are just like super fired up to come and be in person, right? And I was going to do something virtually, which I probably still will, but it was like an immediate no, like this has to be in person and you have to be in the energy and in the experience, right? And there's virtual is amazing, like hands down, forever grateful for the virtual space. This is how we met. We still have never met in person. But there's so much depth in that energetic exchange when you get to be with the people, right? And so I love that for you. I love that you have built a really beautiful community for yourself, and like you are the beacon, you are the lighthouse. And I also love that it's like in the center of the center, because this is how you can continue to shine this light for others to find you, right? So
Yeah.
so stoked for you.
Yeah, me too. Oh, that's what I was gonna say is love the irony of it is like, ain't no lighthouse in the middle of the mainland, man. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna find a light, like there's no like, this isn't here, you've arrived. Like,
Yeah.
this is like your safe harbor. No, we're
No.
so inland here. And yeah, I'm still riding that wave. Of course, I would say that. I mean, like being away from the ocean, it's been I don't know, in a way, again, it's like, do you miss it? It was like I'm just on this side of spiral right now. So I still feel connected to everything else that is. There's no disjointed disconnection or like distance. It's really just like, this is where I am. And I think it's so important for any given moment, any day, to know where your feet are and know like what season of your life you're living and what channel you're subscribed to and where you're the main character of your favorite show. And if it's not your favorite show, you better go ahead and give that the time of day. Because like that's all what this whole thing is about. And it's not a dress rehearsal. Like you had your time. Like trust me, and I think we can all feel that internally is like when we've like overstayed, right? And we've like stayed in another channel that we've just been like, we outgrew it. And then at a certain point, it gets more uncomfortable to stay in that channel than the uncertainty of the new channel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hands down, 100%. Yeah. It's that uncomfortableness that, like, when you're just like shrinking or, playing safe or just being small or just like not really following your soul's guidance to be like, hey, man, like, this is where we're going, right? And then that's when you get into that space of, I don't like to call it self-sabotage, but the self-protection, where it's just like, well, of course you're going to go to these old patterns and behaviors because you're denying your soul's guidance. You're denying your soul's path, right? So it's just like, choose what's most uncomfortable. Like, it's so much, there's so much fear for people to really take that leap and just trust. But you can share, I can share, like, it is so abundant when you do.
our mind tells us that the discomfort of the change is greater than the discomfort of staying somewhere you have outgrown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, if you know that, because that is true, your mind is a monkey and it has no problem lying to you, but your body can't lie. So it's like, the biggest step is that to do that thing. And then you're like, oh, I'm here now. And time does move differently. You do move differently when you're in your true trajectory. And it may have been some time, some years, some while that you've been enacting your embodied truth. So you're like, is this really for me? And then you've got to like re-find your groove in that and get back on the bike. But the bike might feel different, it might look different, it might ride different, but it's your bike. Get back on it, and there's nothing like that. And then settling into that without getting complacent or over comfortable, because you want to always stay a little bit at the edge of your own adventure.
100%.
Mm.
100%, girlfriend. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm in the space right now of like continuing to stretch myself, and it feels so uncomfortable, right? Like I've joined a mastermind to write my damn book, and I'm like, oh snap, right? That scares the shit out of me. And it's so uncomfortable in that resistance. Like I'm going to choose the uncomfortableness of like going all in on what the downloads keep, taking me to, as opposed to being like, oh, I can't write my book. Cause that is like way more uncomfortable now than writing my damn book. Right?
It's sickening, actually. Like the thing that actually takes the most energy is active avoidance. Like that is like you're like a vacuum is so.
Yeah, it's crazy. I imagine where I once was, where, I was just like kind of in this place of, leaning into the uncertainty and the uncomfortableness. And it's like, okay, what is this? And now it's like, I thrive in that uncertainty, right? Like, I don't want to be in a place of certainty anymore. I don't want to be in that place of complacency and just being like, oh, this is just enough, or this is okay. I'll just do a little bit here. And, it's just like, fuck that noise. Like, let's do this. Let's get dropped in and show the fuck up, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I felt that way, like, it's like getting to the opening day as if that was like the hardest part. Like that's actually the easiest part. And then it's like, well, now you got to go and open the door every day. Now you got to do it for real. No one's going to do it for you.
No.
No one's going to go. No one has the key the way that you do.
No.
So you just like got to go and be continuous in your character's life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to take chances on yourself and be courageous and choose wisely. Listen to yourself and be connected and dropped in, and listen to your fucking body, dude. Like what? Like, oh geez. The thing is, by the time your body has stepped in, you've actually missed the initial message, because the initial message is energetic, and then your body will start to give physical signs and start to tell you some things. But at that point, it's over. Your library book is already overdue. Like it already needed to be sussed out. Yeah. So like by the time I knew that I was like chronically dehydrated, it was too late. And then I had to have then the body was like, now I'm really going to show you. That's painful, but I guess me, so thanks, because now I have to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wild. So what's next? What do you like? What's your big picture vision for Faro?
Yeah, that's now I just feel like I have the space for that, like to like zoom out. I've been so hyper focused on putting the bricks down and like putting where the pieces are and setting up the structure of my play castle, that I can start to like be like, oh, surveying the land and like seeing what's happening from the outside in and such, right? But the plan really is that Faro becomes its own, like it's an illumination center, and then decides to put up little Faros in different places too, you know. It's like, oh, there's a Faro here, I'll be, you know. But you know, I think what's really cool is we're just like listening to the what the community really has a need for and just a desire for. So like things like we're going to do a once a month men's flea market, you know, because there's really nowhere great to get men's clothing here. And we're going to do different events, and it's going to be a series of throwing spaghetti at the wall here for a while. And also give myself the opportunity and the platform to create what I want to create and host in the way that I want to host. And let that really build momentum and see what takes shape, you know, more organically and creatively than trying to, you know, set it that hierarchical strategic tech, you know, like it's none of that. It's really just going to be an adventure that we're going to ride together. So that's what's next. I think, you know, like I'm kind of seeing the first 3 months of Faro is like really figuring it out, you know, and then come, what is it, October, I see this time like Q1 of Faro as like the squeeze. Like I'm so uncomfortable in so many ways right now, and I still don't know the market. I don't know our customers, and I don't know, like, I don't know it yet. And so I'm gonna know it. And then financially as well, there's so much investment. Like owners, we don't get paid for a while, you know. It's like as long as I can pay everyone, and that, you know, I've hired a staff right away, and like it's like you're making these kinds of choices because you know that they're gonna take you the distance, you know. Like I'm happy to have more outgoing than incoming for me personally, because I know that that will go a much longer way, is making sure that these relationships that are being built right now are pure, and that they're aligned, and that they're with like integrity at the center. So we'll see what happens.
Love it.
Yeah.
Building a strong foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I really want to make bandanas. I don't know, man. I've had that vision of like having like custom, like really cool bandanas for like 4 years. So I've got to see that one through.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
Stoked to see what you create.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was such an honor to be here with you and to be in this space. And I am just so excited for all that you're doing, and can't wait to see it in person one day. And yeah, just super, super proud of you.
Thank you, Meg. I'm so proud of you too. I just love you so much. And yeah, I love to grow alongside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Best.
The best. Well, thank you for sharing your light, shining your light. And we will see you soon on Dropped In. Thank you so much for dropping in with me today. If you loved this episode, I would be forever grateful if you rated and reviewed. And if you feel called to share it with your community on social media, please tag me so I can thank you personally. Until next time, I will see you on Dropped In.